Right. So number one, so temperature is a measure of how fast the atoms in a material are moving. Or another phrase you often hear, their average kinetic energy. Okay, so kinetic's a word that means movement. It's measured in degrees Celsius or degrees centigrade, they both mean the same thing. Right, Celsius was the name of the person that invented the scale. And this abbreviation for degrees Celsius is a kind of high up 0, followed by a capital C. It's measured in degrees Celsius by a thermometer. And last wee bit, it does not depend okay, it doesn't depend on how much of a material there is. I.e., you can have an ice cube at 0 degrees Celsius and you can have an iceberg at 0 degrees Celsius. Right? It means the same thing for both of them. On the other hand, heat. Now we can't interchange these words, heat and temperature, in the physics lab. Right? They mean different things. Heat is a type of energy. Right? They are linked together, we'll investigate that. Right? But they are different things. And it's a measure of the total energy in the material as opposed to the average. So it's measured in joules, which is Joules, or just abbreviated to J. And you can put a K in front of it to mean 1,000 joules. Now, we'll not do a measuring device for heat energy. But heat energy does depend on how much of a material there is. So, for example, an iceberg could have more heat energy than a kettle. Right? So even though it's colder, it could have more heat than a kettle, because even though it's colder, there's a lot more of it. So it's colder, that means on average, each of the atoms have less energy. But in a big iceberg, there are a lot more atoms. So even though they might have less individually, when you add them all up, you get more total energy. So the heat energy in an iceberg can be bigger than the heat energy in a kettle. Learning outcome 2. So when we looked at the Atoms in Motion app, we found that when you heat a material, the atoms have more kinetic energy, or in more everyday language, right, which means they move faster. Oops, sorry. Which means if they're moving faster, the temperature has increased. Now the opposite can also happen. When a material cools, it emits heat, right? It gives out heat. So we're introducing new words there. It emits heat. Meaning the atoms have less kinetic energy. And move slower. And the temperature then has decreased. And then we're just going to clarify these two words, absorb and emit. So to increase in temperature, a material has to absorb heat. And to decrease in temperature, and this idea of emitting heat energy then means giving out. So absorb means taking in, and emit means giving out.